work it out. I think so. It's okay. Open. If not, you can just hold it wherever you're more comfortable. That's good there. That's fine. That's fine.
I get excited.
That's all right. You're ready for me to turn it on? There you go.
Hands together. Are you okay? I think this is probably the first time I've ever used a microphone. Usually I'm told I don't need one. And I think it's the first time I've probably spoke in front of anybody or been in public without a mask for a year, so it feels good. Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see everybody.
Can you talk a little louder?
I need to be a little louder?
Yes.
A little louder. Okay. I think they say that's too loud now. Is this better?
It is right here, but I don't know about back there.
Is this better, ladies? Is this, no, you can't hear? Testing. Is this better now, ladies? This is better now? You can hear me now? Okay. If this is it good to go, ladies? Okay. If you can't hear, you just give me thumbs up or down. Can you hear me? Okay. Is this better? All right. Okay. I think we're good to go now. Okay. All right. My name's Carolyn Manship. As she said earlier, I'm from Paoli. My husband is Lyndall Manship. He pastors at Paolo Wesleyan. We own Lyndall's Processing. We're the parents of 3 daughters, which is Lacey, Rachel, Chloe, and our son is Spencer. It's wonderful to be with you all today, and I know where I was exactly a year ago today. I was at IU Methodist, and I was trying to figure out where in the world am I and what has happened to me. I was just beginning to get my memory back, and I was thinking, what, where, when, why, and how? All of the above. What in the world has happened? Where in the world am I? When did all of this take place to my body? Why have I got all of this attached to me? And how did this happen to me? So I began to try to figure out, why is this in my arm? Why is this tube coming from my side? Why is this tube over here? What's this in my back? What's this over here? What's this? What's that? And then I would recall different things that I would hear my family members say that I didn't know what they were talking about, and I would say, "What?" or "Who said that?" or "What do you mean?" I am a 1-year double lung transplant survivor. I am a 21-year stage 3 breast cancer survivor with 13 out of 16 malignant lymph nodes. I am a survivor of a son born with cerebral palsy that could not walk at 3 years old with a grim prognosis. I am a survivor of a nonverbal, profound, handicapped daughter. Profound, nonverbal. That sounds pitiful, doesn't it? I'm a survivor, though. I'm going to share today a little bit about some of the challenges that I've been faced with in my life. As I was typing this morning, I looked and thought, cancer, double lung transplant, cerebral palsy, Angelman syndrome. Well, is that all? Seems like there should be more. But isn't God good? You know, these things that's thrown at us in life, He just equips us and gives us grace, strength, power, enables us to endure these things, and we just go on. They just become life. They just become chapters in our lives. Enables us to go on in life. We are all faced with crisis, just like each of you have been faced with crisis and will continue to be faced with crisis. They can make us bitter or better. You and I can choose to let them make us bitter or better. With God's help, He will help us make them better. And really, that is a daily choice of ours. When our feet hit the floor of the morning, we can choose, is it going to be a better day or a bitter day? This is something I have really pondered on just the last couple of weeks, and all I can put it on is just God. When I was a child, I was raised in a very strict home. I was raised in church. The night before I was married, my curfew was 10:30. That was rehearsal night. I mean 10:30 sharp. And our rehearsal was at the church. I was raised in a good Christian home, and I so appreciate that. But about junior high, I believe I was in about the 7th grade. I was involved in a very good, strong youth group. I was kind of afraid that when I grew up, my testimony was going to be boring. You know, the older people in my congregation, they would stand and, kind of give their testimony. How the Lord been good to them, and it would always bless my heart. I was appreciative of it, and I could think, well, when I get their age and I stand, nobody's going to get anything out of my testimony because, I went to Sunday school and church and went home after school and laid down and went to sleep at night and got up and went to school the next day. And on Saturdays, we got up and done our housework and went to church on Saturdays and cleaned and went home and went to bed and got up on Sundays and went to church and, and then growed up and went to work and went to church. And, we just kind of lived a boring life. So I just didn't think that when I grew up, I was going to have a whole lot to tell that what God had done in my life. So, well, I had no idea what God had in store for my life. Little did I know what God was preparing my life for. As a 7th grader in junior high, how my parents were raising me and training me in the ways of the Lord, teaching me to put God first in my life, to teach me to pray, to have faith in Him. If I had burdens, to ask Him for help. If I was sad or something bothering me, that I could ask Him to help me. If maybe I felt bad or was sick, to ask Him to help me. Those types of things. So as I became an adult, I could go to Him in prayer and ask Him for help. For instance, in time of sickness, I could say, "Dear God, I have a cancer that needs to be healed. I need a great physician. I'm having trouble with my earthly doctor. I've got this cancer that's growing, that's out of control. It's at the end of stage 3. It's in 13 lymph nodes, Lord. It's moved from the one breast into the other, out into my lymph nodes. And, you know, usually after 3 or 4 lymph nodes, most usually you don't live more than maybe 3 years. Lord, I've got 4 children. My baby's 3 months old. I would like to be able to raise my 4 kids, Lord. I've got one with cerebral palsy. I've got 2 other girls. I've got a husband that's got 4 kids to raise. Dear God, I would like to raise these children." But as a young girl, I had parents that really loved me and was trying to raise me in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. So maybe that's why I've been reflecting back on my childhood. And then then later on, as I married my high school sweetheart, of course we married, and we had Lacey, and life was so good, just happy-go-lucky, just couldn't imagine life going wrong. And of course, you know, we had Spencer, and our world was turned upside down. The cord was wrapped around his neck. Shortly, he was transported to Indy and started having seizures, and he couldn't walk at 3 years old, and realized that if he was not going to be raised in a wheelchair, that he was going to have a rhizotomy, where they cut about that much into his spine and cut 75% of the nerve rootlets, and he was laid flat out for like a wet noodle for about 3 weeks, I believe it was, but they'd only done 75 of those surgeries in Louisville. And as young parents, we were asked, either you can do this, or he can be left in a wheelchair. Whew. It took this moment to her knees in prayer. But again, I had never prayed before in my life like I had over that boy. I prayed and I believed in prayer. And you know, though, I didn't only trust in other women and men to pray, I prayed myself as well. So we trusted in God to hear and answer prayer, and He did. He really moved. We seen fit that we would let them be the 75th person to operate, and he done that surgery. Just horrific therapy to Louisville 5 days a week for physical therapy, and we just had at it, and the Lord really worked in his life, and he does wonderful today. Hasn't been an easy road. Absolutely not. He's had to work hard to be a walker today, because otherwise, without the power of God and determination, Spencer would not be a walker today. So that was another faith builder. So then after Spencer was born, it was a faith builder, but it was a crisis in our life. So it took us a while to get our feet back under us. But did we doubt God? Absolutely not. Did we blame God? Absolutely not. Did we turn bitter? Absolutely not. Now, did we want to every now and then? Well, there was a day or two we wanted to just pull the covers up over our head, or maybe want to just kind of put your fist in the pillow, you know? Have you had those days? But you have to get up, put your feet on the floor, and go on. Then shortly after that, Lyndall felt the call to the ministry. And we started ministering to others. And you know, you don't put so much thought on your own problems. You start ministering to others and helping others. We didn't think we would ever have any other children after that. You know, just such a big hurt. You know, thought no more. But after that, God had blessed us and had been so good to us and helped us beyond measure. Life was good. So we had Rachel, and then 17 months later, we had Chloe. She was born April the 7th in 95. Our family was so blessed and so happy. It was time for the school bus that evening, and the phone rang. I was holding Chloe, which we didn't realize right that moment that she had Angelman syndrome. But we did know she did not sleep at all at night. Zero. Not just a fussy baby at nighttime. Zero, which is not normal. If you have a baby that sleeps zero at night, red flag. And it was the doctor. It is cancer. And we cannot accommodate you with your age being 29. You have got to go to Louisville. Your insurance says they will not allow it, but I've got a letter written up. They have to allow it. You're too young. Explain that to your kindergartner in your 5th grade, getting off the school bus. But as soon as we got the kids in, we had a brief little prayer. We just kind of explained that we were faced with a challenge, but God was going to help us as a family. So we took some time together, and then Daddy felt the need to go into the church. And he spent some time there at the altar, there at Paoli. And I tell you, for the Manships, probably the next 3 years was probably some of the toughest times of our lives. I got down to about 80 pounds. I battled a deathly bout of cancer. In the meantime, Chloe slept this amount of time, 24 hours a day. Angelman syndrome's about 1,000 known cases in the world at that time. They thought it was from allergies to you know what. I mean, they just could not get her diagnosed. It involves with severe mental retardation, nonverbal seizures. She couldn't sit up at 1 year old. Finally, at 3 years old, she was properly diagnosed. But I will say, she has probably been the most awesome, blessing that we have ever been given. The most work that has ever been given. She's 24/7 care. Loves us unconditional. She has a love for Lyndall and I and her siblings like none other. She's a gift from God. There's just nothing like it. But you know what? There is one thing about Chloe Manship. And as Spencer said, when we got that final diagnosis, a hurt came over me like none other. But I will tell you one thing. He looked at us with tears in his eyes, and he says, Mom, she has a free ticket to heaven. And that she does. And you know what? Lyndall and I never have to worry about that. And should that not be our goal as parents? We never have to worry about Chloe and her salvation. So she is a blessing. God has taught us so much in life that as a child, my faith had been built from early on for these journeys. In 2010, I had always been a walker in my life. I had developed a cough. I started working, and at lunch, I would go out and walk on my lunch. I would come back to work at noon, and I'd cough all afternoon. Well, I think I got on my coworkers' nerves. One day, Shelley says, Carolyn, you cough every afternoon. I do, I'm sorry. Am I bothering you? Well, you don't bother me, but why are you coughing all the time? Well, I don't know, I'll get some cough drops. Then I started noticing when I would eat, I would feel full. Just feel full, like, whew, I feel full. Or halfway through my meal, I would think, ooh, I really feel full. Just such a fullness. Then I would start feeling a bloat. So a few different things I would start kind of feeling over a period of time. Then I would start kind of getting a little breathlessness. Just little odd and end things here, there, and yonder. Then over a period of time, I was seeing symptoms that I'm thinking, these are not normal things. So I started doctoring. Then I would get like sinus symptoms and beginning to think, I don't think I'm well. But couldn't put finger on anything. And then I would start get out and, go in down at church. And when I got there, I thought I was well. And then, especially while we were ministering at Marengo, and they would maybe come in and find me sacked out in different places. And, Carolyn, are you okay? I think I am. Why? Well, you're laying on the floor. I think I'm okay now. Those aren't normal behaviors. But finally, I went to my oncologist. I said, things aren't right with me, Dr. Woodcock. You've known me a long time. He said, Carolyn, I think you need to see a certain doctor. And the day that I seen a transplant doctor in Louisville, Dr. Van Berkel, I think I just about lost my teeth. I wasn't sleeping at night. I had to set up to sleep because I couldn't breathe. We had an upstairs. I no longer could go upstairs because I did not have air. I would get up in the morning to try to get ready for work, and Lyndall maybe would find me passed out on the couch because I couldn't get dressed. I didn't have enough oxygen to get dressed. Or I would go to work and my boss would maybe find me in the break room out on the floor. So I was telling Dr. Van Berkel these symptoms. He says, you're going to need lungs. We're going to have to get you some help, Carolyn. You're needing, I don't think you're getting enough oxygen. To make a long story short, they realized I was probably in far worse shape than what I realized myself. They got me diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis. And at the end stages of my old lungs, the lungs I was born with, most people die with, they were destroyed with pulmonary fibrosis. There is no cure for this disease. The only option is the lung transplant, he said. I had become so physically ill that I could not walk from my couch to the kitchen. I was working at that time when I seen Dr. Van Berkel. And of course, they started me off on about 3 liters of oxygen, and probably within about 6 months, oh my, I think I got up to about 16, 18 liters of oxygen. It got to where Lyndall, if he got me out to go to Louisville, it took 2 wheelchairs to get me anywhere. They was pushing me in one and had to push through oxygen tanks in another. It was bad. Remember Marengo Westland? You all remember the ones that come. Pulled a chair up to the front door, and they Christmas caroled on my front porch. They set me in a chair, and they sang. And I sat there and listened to the songs. I was pretty frail that day. I didn't have any more days to live without lungs. I had become so frail. But at that point, I had made up my mind in my heart, God, you know the shape I'm in. You know these lungs that I was born with, I was destined to die with. You know there is a donor out there that has lungs that you could see fit to give me, if it be your will. But if that is not your will for me to receive those lungs, that is okay. But I am going to do what your word tells me to do, and that is in Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God, because you know what? That's all that I could do was be still, because I sure couldn't do anything else. I couldn't get from the living room to the kitchen by myself. Matter of fact, I didn't even get in the bed then. I just stayed on the couch. It was easier. So I just done what the scripture said, to be still, and I waited. And I didn't even pray out loud because I saved my energy and my oxygen. And I waited. And I prayed for the donor because I thought somebody will have to die in order for me to live. And that was a horrible thing to think of. But I thought, if it's God's will, the lungs will come in time. And if it's not his will, I began to prepare my children, because I did not want my children to be unprepared. I didn't want business undone either. I did not want to lose faith of healing or being transplanted, but I did not want to leave my children unprepared. Now, my husband He was a grown man. He's a man of faith. He's big enough to take care of himself. Would he be hurt? Broken. He would have been broken. Because I seen Little Manship broken more over transplant than anything I've ever seen him in my life. It took him months after transplant. It took Little Manship recovery time after transplant. I'm here to tell you something today. If you think lung transplant is an easy thing, no. I couldn't say, is it easy? No. It's not a fine-tuned procedure. No. They've not been doing them that long. Heart, yes, but not lung. It's a tissue. It's a different transplant. Kidneys, livers, hearts, they've got lots of expertise at them, but lungs they only do 8 a year in Louisville. Lexington, maybe 5 a year. We're not talking very many. They only do 60 to 80 a year in Indianapolis. That's not a lot. There's not a lot of lungs done. So, you can't take these things for granted. It's miracles. But I prepared my children. I said, kids, I want to tell you something. Now, my sister Evelyn didn't want to hear it. But my oldest 2 sisters started to realize we may lose her. And Lyndall was realizing it. He was starting to get the spiritual furniture in order at the Manships. I said, Spencer, Lacey, Rachel. Kids, if the lungs don't come, healing will come. It just will not be in this life. I said, I know it's not what you all want, but God's way is not always how we may expect it to be. But it will be okay, and God will make it okay. And I kept reassuring them. And it would have been hurtful, but I think it'll be okay. And they said, okay, Mom. And I went another step. And I still remind them from time to time. Transplants, and I'm gonna just be honest, and people ask me this all the time. Carolyn, don't you live in fear? And they ask me this about cancer. Don't you live in fear, afraid it's going to come back? God delivered me from that. I do not live in fear. Lung transplants don't last a long time. 3 to 5 years. Now, sometimes they last longer. I'm going to go for 20 at least. That'll put me to 70. Wouldn't that be awesome? 72. Wouldn't that be good? Oh, will my knees hold out? But anyway, but I told my children, and I said, kids, if these lungs don't hold out for very long, that's okay. Don't whine or fuss or complain. Be grateful. Look how God has spared my life a year. Look at me today. I know where I was a year ago. What I was doing a year ago, do you know what I was doing a year ago? I had a gate belt around me. This big old gate belt. I had these tubes to get out of bed. Oh, to get out of bed. Was it hard? You better believe it was hard. A nurse on one side, a nurse on the other. Could I just get out of bed? No. They had to help me out of bed. I was about 100 pounds, maybe. You would think you could get out at 100 pounds, wouldn't you? Of course, they had to put my shoes on. Couldn't do that myself, you know. Legs too weak. They was too weak to get up there. Yeah. Help you get up. Oh, Jell-O. Then you have a walker. Yeah. Don't you feel pretty with a big walker? And here you go. Oh, and of course you've got all these contraptions and your yeah. One on each side and a walker and holding on a gate belt. And here you go for your walk. Well, I was able to make a big walk. Let's see, maybe out around a couple of tables and maybe back around. A big walk. Probably about a year ago today. A big walk. Yeah, I was doing good, great. Come a long ways, haven't I?
Amen.
I can walk about an hour a day now. So I remind my kids, if God takes me tomorrow, He has been awesome to me. And don't complain. All that God has been to me and my family, if He never answered another prayer, it would be okay. He is good to me. He has saved my soul. He's the lover of my soul. He's my comforter. He's my healer. He's my great physician. He's my everything. And He's blessed me. He has blessed me beyond measure. He has blessed me just this year with 2 grandbabies that I never, ever dreamed of ever getting to. I was praying that I would get to even raise my own children. Never dreamed that I would get to see grandbabies. That's a God we serve. So you know what, ladies? I know you all had losses in your life. Companions. So I know you all had hurts and disappointments and loneliness. Long hours, maybe, without, company and that type of things. But I want to tell you, you're no different than I am. You all serve the same God that I do. He's your all's friend just the same as I am. He can comfort you, protect you, strengthen you, and help you just the same. There's no respecter of persons. No respecter of persons. He can be your everything. And there's days that, I don't feel up on the mountain. There's been days that Chloe's needed to be bathed, changed, fed, dressed. I needed to be dressed, bathed, changed, fed. Lyndall, he's needed about me. I mean, you guys, seriously, we have been so down and out. It's like, dear Lord in heaven, we need help. We need help. Help, God. Send the help in. But some way, somehow, He would come through for us. He's going to do the same for each of you that's here today. Whether it's great or small. Mine may seem big, lung transplant. It is big. It's a big one. But you know what? You may have something that seems really small to me, but it may be huge to you today. He cares. And He's able to fix it. He's able to fix that doorknob or that door handle that needs to be fixed. He's able to fix it. We need to just be still and know that He is God. We can't underestimate Him. We can't be bitter. We have to be better. I just want to thank each and every person that has ever thought or breathed a breath of prayer for me and my family down through the years. I want to personally thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to say thank you. And I want to thank God for His many, many blessings that He has bestowed upon me. I am very unworthy, but He has truly blessed me. And I'm very thankful. And I never want to take His answered prayers for granted. I love Him from the bottom of my heart, and I want to continue to serve Him, and I never want to not give Him glory and praise for what He has done in my life. Because without Him, I don't know where I'd be, but I sure wouldn't be standing here. I know that. I could not survive life without Him, all that I've been through. I've just been through too much. Too many serious things. Too many serious things. I couldn't have survived. Before I step down, I've never done this before. Does anybody have a question they'd like to ask me before I step down? Just real quick. Anybody got anything they'd like to ask me? Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Did you have cancer in your lungs? Is that why?
No, I had breast cancer. My lungs was pulmonary fibrosis, and that's scarring of your lungs. Different things can cause pulmonary fibrosis. For one thing, chemicals, certain medications, which that's a suspicion from mine. I can't say for sure, but that my doctors feel it come from a medication, from treatment that caused mine. Yeah. But like environmental things. Most people is diagnosed with IPF, idiopathic, they're not sure. But mine, they're feeling come from a drug. Any other questions? Oh, do you have a question, honey?
Yeah.
Yes.
So did somebody actually donate blood?
That is a good question. I'm very sensitive toward my donor. Her name's Katie. She passed away, and her request, when she went and got her driver's license, she signed on the line that in case of death, she passed away, that she wanted to donate her organs at death. So when she passed away, they had to keep her body alive by machines, and they harvested her heart, her lungs, her kidney, her liver, and I'm not for sure what else they harvested, but they harvested several organs of Katie's. And then, in the fall of the year, my coordinator sent me a letter that was from her mother. I've got the letter with me. It's so sweet. That she was a young lady, and she wanted to donate her organs to other people so that maybe they could live. She was a CrossFit trainer, so God seen fit to bless me with awesome lungs. Young, awesome lungs. That's why I had to wait so long for it. But that was an excellent question. Two good questions. Any other questions? Another thing about pulmonary fibrosis, I mentioned it during my talk. All other organs are muscle. lungs are tissue. And that's why they're so fragile. And that's why they're so easily rejected. Because, you know, you breathe in and that you're so easily susceptible to germs. That's why I wear a mask so much. I'm just now a year out, so I'll be able to cut back on wearing a mask not as much. But with it being flu season and stuff, I'll continue to having to wear it. And with us being in the ministry with larger crowds, I'll have to wear it quite a bit still. But yeah.
Didn't you go to Indianapolis one time and they didn't fit or something? And how did you feel about that?
Okay, now I was listed at Louisville, and I was listed for a year and a half at Louisville. And they just could not find a match for me in Louisville. And so my disease just kept worsening to where they were beginning to really get scared for my life in Louisville. So they was beginning to get concerned, and I was beginning to get really concerned myself, thinking, so like we started really praying. So we felt led, do we start getting double listed elsewhere? And to be double listed, you have to be within a couple of hour driving. So we thought, we'll do anyway. And I went there because elsewhere we would have to relocate. And with our family, I just could not do that. With Chloe, and we just couldn't do that. So we went to Indy, and I did not get called. I didn't have a dry run, but oftentimes you do. You get called, and if for instance, if the lungs are bad, then they send you back home. I've had a couple of friends that's done that. You get called, and if the lungs are bad, I mean, up to they even had me in surgery, and my family didn't know if it was going to be a go. I mean, they've had some of them one side cut open, and the lungs show bad, and they have to sew them up and bring you back out. So there's a chance you're not getting transplanted about down to the time. But they test them lungs until they actually start to put them in. But yeah, I was on the list up at Indy about 3 months before they called me. Yeah, but now when I got the call, I remember exactly where I was in Louisville. And they called me and said, where are you? And I told her, and she said, turn the car around and head to Indy. They're en route to get lungs, and if they're a go, we'll have you in the OR at 4 something. Yeah, so I said, I'm thinking, I can't go north, I gotta go get my husband. So yeah, he was literally just about out on the highway waiting when we pulled in the driveway. It was a cute sight. The family was there waiting. Yeah. Any other questions? Any other questions? I'll close with this. This is a good one. I'm going to make you a copy, Vicki. I am the daughter of a king who is not moved by the world. For my God is with me and goes before me. I do not fear because I am his. I love that. I seen that one day on Facebook, and that stays on my refrigerator. Because we don't fear because we are his. So he takes care of us. Thank you, ladies.